One thing that I learned in my 20s, might have even been before I turned 20, was to not travel with people that you cannot get along with at home. I'm here with another story time, and I'm gonna be talking to you guys about my experience going on spring break with a friend of me. I enjoyed myself. I even have some vlogs from that trip on my channel. I'm gonna link them down below for y'all so y'all can see, and I want y'all to know if you can pick up on the vibes. There's two things that are gonna ruin a trip, and that's one, a person with a bad attitude, and two, a person that comes without any money. I've experienced both, and I don't want to deal with it again because it literally puts a damper on your trip. You know, have you ever had a feeling about somebody or just had somebody in your life that you didn't get good vibes from, but then someone that is a mutual friend or relative hype that person up or just try to tell you like, oh no, she's cool, he's cool, and then some time passes, you give them a chance, and it turns out to be that you were right with your intuition in the first place? This was the situation with this friend. Did I let her ruin my trip? No, I still was Yosha. I still enjoyed myself. But, you know, mental notes were taken. And I recommend that you do the same thing if you ever go on a trip with somebody and they do something stupid. Like, don't keep hanging with them after that. Like, okay, we're going to get back home safely because that's my promise to you. Whether I like you or not, I'm that type of person. I'm going to look out for you regardless. And this is going to be the last time though, okay? I'm going to make sure you make it back home to your people because I ain't trying to have that on my conscience because I care enough for you to get home safely. But after this, we ain't got to talk no more. That's where I was with that. But let me get into some of the things that went wrong, and hopefully you can listen to this and apply it to your life so that you're not in this situation, especially if you're 19, 20, 21, college age. You can resonate with this, right? Okay, cool. So back when I was 19, we decided we were going to take our young asses to South Beach, Miami area. So we went to the Fort Lauderdale side, which is not too far. Like, you can fly in through a Fort Lauderdale airport, or you can drive, which I do not recommend. Very ghetto, very long of a trip if you are coming from Atlanta, y'all. That was like an 11-hour drive. Never ever doing that again. But you know, when you're 19, you got energy, okay? You driving a boat, sis. You got time for that type of foolishness. I don't now. 10 years later, I don't have time for it. I'm like, honey, book me the flight. I'd rather get on Spirit than take an 11-hour drive somewhere. That's just not for me. But at that time, I had never flown before. Most of my friends had never flown before. So we were like, let's do it. Let's drive. Like, we can take turns. It was 5 of us. I drove my car, and my best friends joined me. One of my friends was from college, still one of my best friends. And then the other 3 ladies, we were friends from high school. So this was my sophomore year in college. We had a sleepover at my dorm. I was a resident assistant, so I pretty much had my own space. My girlfriends came over and spent the night. We got up super early, like 6 a.m., 5 a.m., something in the morning to drive down. I believe I started off driving first, and then when we got to a point where we ran out of gas, the problematic friend was gonna drive my car. Sis was acting like she didn't know how to drive, and I think it freaked me out, so I just let my other best friend drive instead. I don't really let folks drive my car too often now because I learned from being younger that people without things often do not care about your things. So I had to be really boat tired. And like I said, driving 11 hours is pretty ghetto. I'm not gonna drive 11 hours there and back by myself. First hiccup was finding that the hotel just looked motelish. It was supposed to have a sofa bed in it. It didn't. It was 5 of us, and it was 2 queen beds, and there was bad tension between some of us. So the one who had the attitude ended up choosing to sleep on the floor. Nobody made her sleep on the floor, but she chose to sleep on the floor, which is beyond me because the floor is nasty. You don't know how many people have been in here walking, but that ain't my business. You do what you do. And the next day we went to another hotel. At the second hotel, it was kind of set up like the motel, but it wasn't in a sketchy area. And the hotel also had a sofa which is what we didn't have in the previous room. And we wanted to make sure that we did have that because we didn't want nobody sleeping on the floor or us all piled together in queen beds, because, you know, I've always been a thick girl. That second day, during the morning, we decided we were going to go to the mall. So the friend that I'm going to call frenemy, I'm going to give her the name Angel. Angel decides to walk off as soon as we get to the mall, walk off in an opposite direction of us. She didn't have her own cell phone and she didn't drive. I drove my car, remember? And we went through the mall and we were probably done after about an hour and 15 minutes. It took her another hour to come out and find us because she chose to walk off and go in a different direction when she got to the mall. So I was annoyed. All of us were. We were ready to go. We were finna go eat and we couldn't leave her. I've never been the type of friend that's gonna like leave somebody somewhere. Like for me, is if we came together, we stay together. So I had to let her know. Number one, if we came together, we stay together. You don't have to be up under us. I get it. But you can't just walk off and leave and we don't know where you're at. Because if something happens to you, your parents are going to be looking to us because you were with us last. Don't do that crap again. And number two, you don't got no phone. So you can't be wandering off and you don't know none of our numbers or whatever. And we can't find you. We can't call you and say, hey, we went to the car. And she had a nerve to have an attitude because we were in the car and she didn't know. You would know where we were at if you wouldn't have walked off when we first got here. Like, she was just trying to start shit. But after I said what I said, I went back to enjoy myself because I was like, look, I didn't pay this money to come down here and enjoy my spring break to be arguing with this girl. Whatever. And my friend that was just like really closer to her, we all ended up like not talking to her anymore pretty much shortly after this. But she was annoyed as well, and she was just kind of like, you know, looking like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, girl, it's fine. But I told you it was something about her. My intuition don't be off too often, except sometimes with some of my ex-boyfriends and situationships. The discernment wasn't always crystal clear back then, but we ain't talking about that. We hang out with the girl from high school. We go to the kickback. Some guys she knew, they got a hotel. We had a little, you know, kickback drinks. That was back when folks was drinking Fort Loco. Y'all, I hated Fort Loco. I wasn't going for it. Like, that wasn't my wave. My wave was just like, let's dance, let's turn up, let's have a good time, take a shot. If you have a shot, back then I used to drink vodka. Ew. And that was just that. So we enjoyed that. And then the next day, I believe, was the day that we were gonna leave. So we decided to drive back towards Georgia Southern, and we left around 12:30, maybe even 1 o'clock. It was later than I wanted to leave because I knew the drive was gonna be like 9 hours away, and we had a friend, my old roommate from my freshman year, that was waiting on us. My old roommate had extra space in her room, so some of us were gonna be over there and some of us were gonna be in her friend Tia, my soror's room. So I was trying to be cognizant of time because we had to drive basically about 9 hours or 8 hours from Fort Lauderdale at the bottom of Florida all the way to the south of Georgia at a decent time, because we told her we were spending the night and she was expecting us. Because we ended up leaving so late, we were not able to make it that in time. As a matter of fact, by the time it got dark, we were in Daytona, and I decided, you know, y'all, let's just spend the night here in Daytona. I booked a room for us at the La Quinta in Daytona, and it was nice, and it had a sofa bed. And we decided to stay there so we can rest and leave first thing in the morning. The reason why we were late was because Angel had an uncle that lived in the area that wanted to drive up the day that we were checking out to meet her and give her some money. So it delayed us leaving. And we didn't mind because, you know, okay, your relative's going to give you some money. You need the money. I'm not going to prevent that from happening. But I just felt like it wasn't timed accordingly. Like, I kind of wish that he would have possibly met us at the mall that day that we were there and just kind of had a more of an open schedule, no plans. It was just kind of frustrating to say the least. And at this point, people are starting to get uncomfortable because it's like things are not going as we planned. Like the plan was 3 days in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, whatever, and then 3 days in Georgia Southern. As Georgia Southern was lit. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. It's really fun. Like, she kept on inconveniencing us, and then she had an attitude. Like, she didn't want to take any pictures. She didn't want to do things. Like, she was being really short. After a while, I started acting like she wasn't there. So, and in my mind, I had already decided that this friendship was ending. So, it didn't matter to me. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I don't got nothing else to say to you after this. But I'm not going to let you ruin my time. So we finally get to Daytona and we decide to go to this adult arcade. There is just completely different. We walked around. We had a great time. I want to say we got there like around, let's see, it might have been like 6-ish. So it wasn't quite dark yet. But we ended up running into these guys. One of them was handsome, had locks. And I remember my friend of me, Angel, was really interested in him. Like, she thought he was just the finest thing. So he recommended that we go to this club. But I was like, okay, I don't mind. We can go, but, you know, let's not stay out too late because we have to get up in the morning to go. So we end up going to this little club, which is really, it was just like a bar type setting. We ended up just kind of staying, vibing for about, I don't know, an hour, then talking in the parking lot. I remember the clip on my YouTube channel where I was sitting in the car because I was tired. I had driven for part of that ride to Daytona and I was just ready to sleep. But I wasn't saying everybody else had to leave just because I was tired. I just sat in my car talking a little bit and ended up going to sleep. The next morning we check out, we head to Statesboro, we get there and we end up having fun at Georgia Southern with my old roommate, doing kickbacks, doing parties or whatever. In hindsight, I just thought it would be an amusing story to share. One of my most interesting spring breaks. It was definitely memorable. And like I said, I made the most of it. We still had a great time. We did some fun twerking and all that good stuff. But I feel like the trip would have been that much better if I would have just went with the 3 friends that I knew I could get along with. Comment down below. Let me know if you've ever went on a trip with the wrong person before. Maybe you went with the wrong significant other and they didn't know how to have fun and they end up ruining your vibe. Or if you've ever went on a girls trip and somebody just didn't know how to have a good time. Like, I love to hear it. Y'all, I was young. I pretty much learned from the first time. Like, I'm not paying to go on vacation to be with folks that I can't stand or with folks that are going to make things difficult. Y'all might be hearing this and be like, yeah, it's not that bad. My story is worse. Well, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I am on the road to 10,000 subscribers. And I would love to have you a part of that journey. So, thank you again for being here. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.